Okay, episode 27.
At season 2, we back up in this bitch, you know what I'm saying? No
No,
Condom
no.
podcast, raw dick in your eardrums, semen overfilling your fucking
We're back
brain
fucking.
capacity.
Yeah, we back. So like all these have fucking their videos you can you click your mouse to every Wednesday. We're back, you know.
With your affection, without a follow, without a mention, you really...
Yo, why are we nice? Nice for what?
Actually, you know what, it took me a little minute to understand that, like, nice for what? To be honest, I kind of, like, I get it, but I, like, without a follow, without a mention, you really, for these, you gotta be nice for what to do? Like, what is, like, is that saying, like, posting, like, half-naked pictures on Instagram is being nice to random people? Like, I don't understand, like, exactly what that means by being nice to the, like,
It's like
be nice for what? Like, I just don't really understand what comes into play. Like, I fucks with it. That's my, to be honest, I peeped the album.
we gonna go right into the Drake?
Yeah, let's hop right into Scorpion. I fucked with Scorpion.
Okay.
I think it's decent.
I haven't heard every song.
As far as Drake goes, I don't think it's his best work. It might actually be one of his worst works, as far as he is as an artist. But the direction he took with certain aspects of it, I respect than a lot of things. I really respect more than, like, because he's never approached it, right? Like,
honestly,
for
like,
one, the DJ Premier joint. For two,
yeah.
I mean, the Michael Jackson feature was cool, but like, just like there's
song was dope. I
like,
liked
you
it.
know, like, nice for what, like that instrumental, what it embodies, even like with the like, it's not Fat Man Scoop, but you know, like those DJ cutouts and the drum breaks
very,
and stuff.
yeah.
It's just like, and you know, and like that song's very hip hop, even though like the drums are kind of patterned, like, you know, the 808 more like not trap but more current. I really like how that embodies like a really hip hop vibe to it, and like kind of a little unorthodox, with the Lauryn Hill sample as well. And you know, the Primo joint and stuff, like,
I
so
like that video too.
I really like the video, so it's stuff like that.
But you feel like this isn't one of his
best works? No, personally, I don't.
Honestly, I haven't taken like all Drake's projects before, but I bought Views and I bought
Views wasn't my favorite either.
The playlist one that was last.
More Life.
More Life.
That's the only one I haven't peeped.
I haven't checked out all this album so far, but when I heard from it, I like it better than those two. And
Which I could see.
I don't know the other albums before that. I wasn't really too big on it.
Now see,
big on him. But
Views, I wasn't huge on. It was alright, you know.
See, I checked those other two albums because it was like, it's Drake, it's the hype. Let me.
There's the hype.
The hype. That song was on Views. But I checked those projects out because of like
the hype.
The hype of it.
Yeah.
Right. But I feel. I really like God's Plan. I wasn't really too big on the video because it split up. You couldn't really hear the song because it kept on cutting out the song throughout the video.
You know what, when
I listen to the song by itself, all together, I like it.
We could get off topic for a second with you saying that.
Yeah.
Because that's how I feel about Jay-Z right now, man. Jay-Z is one of my favorite
Jay-Z's on
rappers.
the album. Yeah.
But the one thing that I don't like about Jay-Z's current direction is he's trying to be too artsy. And now what I mean by that is, now, Jay-Z's always been the cool guy, right?
Yeah.
You know, he gives you little hints of vulnerability, you know, like with his dad and shit like that, like in his past, right? Or like, you must love me, or like, you know, like, he gives you little pieces of vulnerability. But for the most part, you know, Jay-Z's always been very reclusive, and he's been more the cool guy. And that's the thing that kind of, you know, over time, I don't think worked in his favor, because I've always said to be one of the greats, you have to have vulnerability and humility. Yeah. That makes a great not only MC but an artist.
That's why I think Tupac is so like,
because he had humility, he had humility, you know, and that's why I think
huge impact on.
That's why I think his music prior to Death Row was actually better. A lot of people think like All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli are his best albums. I personally think like pretty much every album before those two were better. Now, All Eyes on Me is an amazing album.
All Eyes on Me is better than the Machiavelli.
It is.
I really like Me Against the World.
It's the production that makes that album, though. Because everyone on Death Row gave up their hot shit for Pac to rap on it. But it's not like...
Me Against the World might be like one of his best ones, though.
With emotion and shit? Personally...
Me Against the World...
Personally, I think Tupac's first album.
Am I wrong? It was Me Against the World, the one right before...
Where you went to prison.
And then he came out and was on the throw afterwards.
Yeah. So he had like Dear Mama, there was like Heavy in the Game, which is really dope.
Yeah.
And Old School, which is my favorite Tupac song. Old School is so
I wouldn't
dope.
say it's one of my favorite Tupac songs, but it's a dope as fucking song.
It's in my probably top 10 favorite Pac songs. Old School.
Me Against the World, that song.
Me Against the World is on Me Against the World. Like that album is a solid fucking album, man.
Yeah.
And prior to that, Thug Life's a dope album, even though Pac's not all over it.
But we're
off topic. But basically, what I was trying to say is what you said about either way is that Jay-Z. That's the direction I don't like about him recently. Is that he has gone too artsy, and what I mean by it is. Like 444 was his best work in my opinion since the Black album. I love that album, but what
the Black album is phenomenal.
Yeah. But what I don't like about 444 was the music video. Story of OJ was fire. Every other video
was shit. I
wouldn't say they're shit, but they're too artsy.
No,
like the 444
like
video. I remember you didn't even like it, but I liked the 444 video. I just didn't like all the abrupt cuts in it that were just so random and like just like YouTube videos or like camera videos and like I get like the overall image he's trying to put out.
The Drake song, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just too much randomness, and I was just like, that's what I didn't like about because 444 is probably my favorite song on the album, and the beat is fire. And I love Vulnerable Hove, you know what I mean, on it. But it's just the fact the video is so hard to like as a fan of the song, you're like, alright, like what the fuck is going on? Like, you know what I mean? There's all these like abrupt pauses and breaks and you're like, I love the like direction they took. They just went too far with it. And then since then I've just seen nothing but the same thing from Jay-Z. Like all the other videos.
And I felt the same way about God's Plan video.
Yeah, see, and I didn't even feel like it was that artsy, like, or that many abrupt pauses.
There was, well, like fucking.
I guess there were
4 or 5
but there was a point to them. At least that in 444, like there was just.
I like what he was doing in the video. He was giving out the money, and he was he went to that college or university or whatever it was, and he went there and he helped. I liked what he did, but like, just the whole like it wasn't entertaining.
And did you watch the Ape Shit video yet?
I haven't seen it.
No? You'll see what I mean. Like Hov and Beyonce are on that like fucking artsy shit again, and I'm like, yo, like, you guys both are like top of your class for what you do, but like that doesn't mean
it's rare to have like, I don't know, like sometimes cuts in the videos are alright.
No, and don't get me wrong, I love artsy, but I hate it. Almost feels like it's at a point where it's like trying to be artsy.
Yeah.
Opposed to just being artsy. You know what I mean? Right. Opposed to just being experimental and trying things. It's like everything these guys are putting out now is like on this and it's like, okay, like it's at the point where I almost just feel like it's like you guys are trying to be like Picassos of hip hop and R&B and like it's just like nah, like just dead that a little bit. Like do what you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like let artsy be a thing and don't try to create it, basically. And that's all I want to say on that. But the Drake album, I think is ill. I love the Primo joint.
The Primo joint is fire. Like I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And you can tell it has that Primo bounce to it.
Yeah.
But it's not traditional like Primo.
It's not traditional Primo.
It doesn't sound like traditional.
I heard No ID has production credit on the album too, but I don't know what joint he did.
I don't know what joint. The one with Jay-Z, I heard it was produced by DJ Paul. The 3-6.
That makes sense because I hear the like ramblings of an old 3-6 song in the background at one point.
Yeah.
And then you hear like the dope man and then and then the piano sample or whatever. Yeah. I'm not positive, but when I was listening to it on train
I think you hear it say DJ Paul.
You do.
In the song.
In the beat, yeah. And and I just thought that was a sample because I have the dope man sample and the and the main sample in the beat, the piano. In the first 4 bars of the sample segment before the sample reloops, those pianos are piano I recognize, and I was trying to think, I'm like, what are those sampled from? And they've been using an old hip hop song, and I can't think of what song. And I'm not positive, so don't hold me on it, but I think it's sampled from Bob James' Natalius, which is a very famous like breakbeat record. Like I'm pretty sure Primo sampled it twice on J. Rue's Sunrise in the East, like My Mind's Brain and another song. Can't Stop the Prophet. Both of them, if I'm not mistaken, sampled Bob James and Natalius. But it's just one of these songs that's so obscure, and over the 6 minutes it just changes from all these different right? And a lot of people have sampled it in hip hop history. It's one of those songs, but and I think that's where they got the sample from. But either way, the sample they use the whole way through the 4-bar segment isn't the same, but the first of the 4 bars, if you listen really close, like, you'll notice you've heard that piano before in a hip hop song. And I'm trying to think what it is, but I couldn't.
Okay.
But as far as Drake's album goes, I like
I like the Michael Jackson thing.
I really feel it represented hip hop more than he ever really has, aside from his rhyme skills, because I feel like his rhyme skills have been nicer on a lot of other albums. But on this one, he still had dope quotables. Like, there's good lines. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating. Like, I think the album's dope.
I haven't heard the entire whole thing, but what I've heard, I like it better than the last 2. So.
And see, it's hard as us because we look at Drake like he's almost a little bit after our generation, right? Like, even though he got big, like almost 10 years ago, like, he's still we already had these developed loves for hip hop and who the greats are and all stuff, right? So you're always putting Drake up against these guys, and like, I really didn't put Drake in that category until maybe the last 2 or 3 years because of the consistency in the run.
People that are in his line, you look at like Kendrick and Cole. I don't know, like the last Cole project. I haven't really gone back to it too much.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I thought it was dope when I first listened to it,
but I haven't really gone back to it.
And to be honest, aside from DJ Premier's remix of 1985,
that was dope.
That was super dope.
Yeah,
man, the production on it wasn't really that innovative. It just was. I'm not gonna lie. J. Cole's old album
was pretty good at first, but then
I agree because we talked about it.
Yeah.
And I think it was dope at first as well, but it got boring. You know what? Oops. Drop the mic. But do you know what else actually hit that vein? And I hate to admit it because we're just talking about how much I love Primo. And the first album of theirs was the soundtrack to my life for like a whole year, if not more.
The Gangsta?
Prime.
Oh, Prime. Okay.
Prime 2, honestly, man. Like, I dig it. It's dope. Like, I'm not saying it's whack, but
it's not what number 1 was?
No, it doesn't stand up to that same
okay.
And I don't necessarily think Royce got lazy on it, and as much as I hate to say it because like he's my favorite person in hip hop music, but I almost feel like Preem got a little lazy on it.
Well, like, I remember like him saying from the jump, like when like Royce brought him the first idea, I was sampling an entire artist for an entire album.
He wasn't really feeling it.
He wasn't really feeling it, so maybe.
But see, that's what was nice about Prime 1, is it was, what, 9 songs, maybe 10? Either or. It's one of the 2. And then there was the bonus songs they released, which are all fire. But every song, like, let's say, even with the bonus songs, you got, what, 14 songs total? That means you dug a whole artist catalog and picked, like, the best 14 things that really touched you. And then with this Ant-Man Wonder one, Prime 2, there's, like, 20-something tracks on the album. And a lot of them are really short. Like, I almost prefer Prime 1 with 10 songs, and they all are full songs.
Yeah.
Opposed to Prime 2, where it's like, almost like these like 7-minute Kanye albums, where you're getting these really short songs, and like you just like, abruptly kind of cut off and shit, and it's like...
You think songs have become like that? Or I've noticed like where a lot of songs are more of 2 verses instead of 3 now.
You know what? 2 verses works if it seems like it's meant to work. And this is what I mean by this. Now, I make beats, right? Obviously. But sometimes when I make a beat, I make it 5.5 minutes long before I sell it to somebody or I use it.
Okay.
And I expect that whole beat to be used. When I sell someone a beat and they chop off like 1.5 minutes of it, I'm like, alright, that's your decision. But I feel a way, I'm not gonna lie. Because I'm like, why would you, like, you paid for something.
Yeah.
Why would you devalue it by cutting it shorter? Why don't you figure out something to do with it, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that stumps me on a lot of my own beats, because when I'm making a beat and I'm really feeling it and I really get in the zone, then I make a long ass beat, right?
Yeah.
When I come up with an idea and it's dope, and then like I kind of come back to it and I'm like, well, I should make this beat. I just kind of quickly finish it as like 2 verses. But one thing I always do with a beat, this is the point I'm getting at, is I make a wrap up. Like, a beat never really abruptly ends. Some of my beats do if it seems proper for the beat. Yeah. But for the most part, you get some sort of outro. Like, for example, I could use, and we'll get into this topic, but Nas' new album, right? Like Adam and Eve, or Everything. Like, the instrumentals fit, like, turn to something before they go next, right? Like Adam and Eve, he slows down the sample, adds another sample on top of it, almost like this was originally the beat we were making, but it didn't work. So you get a little snippet of it, and then slows it down to the original sample speed and ends it. I've always done that kind of shit. Like, I believe in, like, the build-up, and I like the ending of the song, like, the artistic ending. And even as a fan, if you're not into production, you don't have to listen to it, but it's there for those who want it.
Yeah.
Like, I hate all these songs that just abruptly end, and Prime 2 just seems so... Well, I love it, but at the same time, a lot of these songs, like, verse, hook, beat, fade out. Beat, fade out. Beat, fade out. Beat, fade out. And it's like...
One thing that, like, I've done in songs, though, too, is, like, my concept for the song, if I have like 3 different ways to approach the concept of the song, I want to do 3 verses. But if like my concept of the song is kind of like a this and this, is kind of like one side and the other, I'll do 2 verses where I do one side and the other of like of the topic.
You know what? I'm not against 2-verse songs, but I feel like there's a difference when you make a song to be 2 verses, and when a song almost seems like it's cut short at 2 verses. And I feel I hear that, yeah. And that's the feeling I got from Prime 2, is that a lot of it was just cut short of 2 verses. And even Drake's album, I'm like, you know, I like Scorpion, but I feel like there's a number of points where it's like the song could have easily been another minute long.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about Nice for What, is like, almost to expand on the song, they like chop the vocals, like gotta hit it, but like it's got a very old school vibe to it when they do that. So I like that. You know, at least you did something to continue the song. Because even that song's too short to me. I love that song. Like I said to you earlier,
verses, right?
You have to listen to that song 2 times in a row every time you play it because it's so short.
Yeah.
And I think that's a valuable thing, is being able to continue.
And almost like on I forget if it is on the album, but like on the video, it's almost like they stretch out that too long, like the beat wise, they stretch it out, like the outro is too long on that, because they're trying to make it like a
on the Nice for What video.
Yeah.
Well, no, because the song ends, then you get like a blank pause, and then they actually play the sample without any beat behind it, but played at the sample rate of the beat.
I think it plays too long.
No, I thought that was cool. I like that.
Okay.
See, I'm all about the sample ride outs and shit. That's just dope.
Yeah,
that's hip hop.
I like that too, but I think it was.
Because I like how like when you listen to a song, it's like it's very like MF Doom, Mad Lib-ish kind of. It's like Jay Dilla-ish. It's like, yeah, you got the beat. You might not know where I took this from, but then I let the sample ride out at the end. You're like, what the fuck? Like that's what they twisted? And then you go back, you're like, holy shit. Like, that's like that. I think that's dope. That's why like on Adam and Eve and shit like that, I'm just like, yo, like I really like this outro. Like that's the kind of shit I've been doing for years, and like a lot of underground producers do that shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm all about sample write-outs, that shit. I think that shit's cool. I just hate when a song is forcefully rushed. And I just got that vibe from some of the songs on Prime 2. I just felt like they were kind of cut short. And I get that feeling on Drake's album a bit too. But we can move forward, talk about the Nas album.
Do you want to go there right now, or okay, we'll go there. Okay, the Nas album, like me, I've been.
I thought it was it.
Like I've been vocal about saying that Nas is my favorite rapper. Man, like he has so many fucking dope classic songs, classic albums. But this album, I couldn't connect with it. Even like features I've heard recently, I really like how Nas is still flowing on other shit that I've heard from him. Adam and Eve is fucking fire. What was the one like right before Adam and Eve?
On the album? Oh yeah, it is before actually. Yeah, but it's Everything.
Everything, yeah.
That's the best song on the album in my opinion.
Adam and Eve and that song to me. I still like the Simple Things on the end. I like that.
That's literally my least favorite song on the whole project, I think.
But like to me, like the songs
the
before
drums
that,
are nice, but
the songs before that, like I like what Nas was kind of talking about, but I just didn't like how he flowed on it, because like I feel these beats aren't really like Nas.
No, do you know what? It just seemed rushed. It just seemed lazy and rushed.
It did seem rushed. It did seem rushed.
And I think this all formulated because Kanye popped off the mouth. Like, I don't think this was planned.
No.
Even Pusha said, like, when they did his album, like, Kanye flew him out to Wyoming to hang out on a mountaintop for a week and a half, like 2 weeks before the album was supposed to drop. And like Pusha already had these rhymes, and Kanye made these new beats to the rhymes. So I feel like all of these projects are kind of rushed.
But you say you haven't heard the Pusha T album?
I've heard bits and pieces. I haven't listened to it front to back like
Man,
Nas.
I think the Pusha T album is fire. Like fire. I think the worst part of it is the one Kanye verse on it.
I've heard that.
Like, but other than that, the whole like even the infrared that
well, that's fire.
The one that I think infrared is the second least, second worst song on the album. The one with Kanye is probably the worst, but like, and those are the last two. The first five are like I could just keep on replaying.
What would Neek do?
Yeah, that was the one with Kanye. But the first five, I could just keep on repeating those. Like the one with Rick Ross, fire. Like the Santeria, like fire. Like the first song, it was like it took a little bit to get into the beat, but like I kind of like the intro part. But he was rhyming. I was like, okay. And then when the beat dropped, I was like, whoa, this shit's fucking crazy. I think that's if you know, you know that song.
You know what? Pusha set off their whole drop thing proper.
Yeah, Pusha was the first one to
drop.
Set that whole thing. Pusha T album to me, if it wasn't so short, it could be like a fucking, I don't know, like.
Well, you know what? Illmatic is short.
Yeah.
And it's a classic. But that is my problem. And not to compare, like, obviously you're never making another Illmatic.
But it's 7 songs.
And not to compare Nasir to Illmatic, but that's the difference of like a great, like a classic and like a good album. Like I think the Nasir album, some people think it's hot garbage. I think it's a good album, but like we were talking earlier, I think it might be one of Nas's worst.
But Nas on Illmatic had like 9 songs, right? And like I felt if Pusha had like the first 5 songs, if he had another 2 of those, I'd be able to consider that. Like it's almost like this like classic EP.
Yeah.
But I feel if he had another 2-3 songs that are on the level of the first 5 songs, that would be a classic album for sure.
Word.
Like those first 5.
And Pusha's crazy ill too, so like.
Yeah.
And on that note, I mean, it wouldn't be right. I know it's a little late now, but to talk about the diss and shit. And but it's almost good to look back a little bit, you know, because it's in retrospect now. Drake's album's out now.
And Drake was taking some subs.
You feel like that?
I don't remember what song it was, but I remember there was a couple that I heard.
Drake is like our generation, or the new generation's Jay-Z. That's what I was comparing.
And Jay-Z took mad subs.
Jay-Z's always been a sub dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Drake does do the subs, but at the end of the day, like, and I don't want people to think I'm hating because like Scorpion is pretty well the only thing I've listened to for the last few days. Like I fucks with it.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I just got it today, and that's why I said I haven't heard the whole thing.
Yeah, like I fucks with Scorpion. Don't get me wrong.
There's some songs I skipped. There was some songs I skipped. But there was some songs that I was like, oh shit.
But like Pusha spanked him. You know what I mean? Like that was hard. And don't get me wrong, Duppy was hard.
Yeah.
Like so Infrared comes out, and this is when I was on tour.
That was
so Infrared, like the album came out.
Infrared was the bait.
It was bait, and he took the bait, right?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I think is crazy. I see a bunch of people online like, yo, Pusha took it too far. And like, what do you think about that? No, I think all is fair in love and war.
Yeah,
like in a rap beef, nothing is sacred. Exactly.
Listen to fucking No Vaseline.
Listen to Eminem's best diss tracks against people. Yeah. Remember back in '94 when Everlast was Whitey 4 before his heart attack had him on life support. Like, yo, like, Tupac talking about Mobb Deep. Don't you got sickle cell?
That's just, I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
You know what I mean? Like, that has never been, like, none of these things have ever been sacred in hip-hop. So for people saying, like, oh, Drake wanted to keep his baby out of the press and it was low for Pusha to do that, or to talk about 40 and all that, it's like, clearly you're just not well versed on hip hop.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't understand is hip hop is built on beef. And when I say beef, I don't mean physical beef, because I don't think records should ever leave wax and go to that, right?
Right.
It's the same way KRS and MC Shan used to tour together, and they would perform their diss tracks at the same show and both get a check. It should be a way for y'all to financially cake together. It should never have to come to guns and violence and all this dumb shit. But it is good entertainment is good competition, right? So when Pusha baited Drake and Drake did Duppy was hard.
Duppy was hard. Like I heard it and I was like, oh fuck.
And the more you listen to it too, you're like this is hard. It's almost that Jay Takeover thing. He's like, he comes from the fan. You know, like I was a fan of you. Like I did things for your boss that I thought he never would need. You know, like it's just like
and like the whole like I just sitting around on the mic and it faded, and it's like
I bought your mic with a signature and that shit faded. That's pretty much simple. Like like he came with that Jay Takeover approach, which I think actually, if you go bar for bar, Drake's diss is actually a better written diss, but it's like. It's the Jay-Z with Ether and Nas effect. Nas was more hard-hitting and in your face, and like had really witty jabs and stabs, and like you know, said some shit that like that's why people use Ether as a term. But if you really look at the two songs, a lot of people say Jay-Z dropped more facts in his diss, which and you know what?
We talked about this before.
And for me to use this as an example is almost wrong, because I disagree. I think Nas had facts in Ether. People don't give him credit for the facts he dropped, like Rockin' Jazz Chain and all that. Like Nas drops facts in Ether. But
we already have a whole thing about that.
Well, either way, but I'm just trying to compare it to this, is where I feel like Drake really had like a really solid diss and hit from that fan perspective, but it's just the fact that Pusha pulled a Drake. Pusha literally pulled it back to back. With the artwork and the song and the content he released,
and then like Drake had to have a press conference to respond. You lost.
You lost. And then when Jay Prince had to come out and start speaking on your behalf, you lost.
You lost.
And you know, I didn't really think it was going to affect his record sales. I thought it might affect his respect in the hip-hop community, which I think it did a little bit. But it is what it is. Like, Drake is killing shit. New album's not whack. It's dope. You know, they're both good artists competing. And at the end of the day, Pusha took the win in this battle. But I think it's really dope Drake responded.
Yeah.
Like, how upset would you be if it was like another Joe Budden thing?
Yeah.
But that's the other difference. Joe Budden did like 3 whole songs.
He did 5.
Wow. And Drake gave him 2 bars. You know what I mean?
As
to where with Pusha only gave him 2 bars, and it baited Drake, and Drake went in and did a diss. And that's why I say whatever Drake got handed to him was deserved, because it's the same thing. It didn't EP on him, right? But someone on the internet was trying to argue with me yesterday, and they're like, yeah, I think that was like whack and something. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, all fair is love and war, and we got in this like a debate for almost like an hour, and I'm telling him, I'm like, look, like that's hip hop, and I'm like, he's like, well, I would compare it to the paparazzi. Drake didn't want people to know about his kid, and then this guy comes out, and I'm like, I wouldn't compare it to the paparazzi at all. I'm like, what I would compare it to is if you go out to a bar and you call some man a bitch, you either got to be prepared to A, get smacked or beat the fuck up by that man, and B, fight that man and hopefully win, or C, the repercussions of him either stabbing or shooting you. Like, you don't just go out and fucking do shit and be like, oh, well, sorry me.
Yeah, we're coming on the
end.
But the one point I wanted to say is, like, how people said Pusha went too far. But Drake said Pusha's wife's name.
Which I feel like is almost a stretch. Because he said, like, he used it as a metaphor, like a ring on it or whatever. I can't remember what the line he used exactly.
Yeah, but I don't care if like.
Well, yeah, to put a government name out there is kind of like. Yeah. And that's how you know if he was trying to sting a Pusha, because no one else knows that, right?
All right, so
Either way,
this up.
We back.
27.
I got hair in my mouth
because he was fucking. I didn't shave today, so.